Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Salam Media. I'm your host, Dakir Daud, taking you through the next hour, chatting all things sports to you this evening. Well, this evening is a very special one. We're going to be joined by the former Springbok coach, Mr. Peter De Villiers. He is one of the coaches with a record of 30 out of 48 matches. He's also got one of the best records against New Zealand. Or let's say he's got the best record against New Zealand, South Africa's fierce rivals. He's also known for coaching South Africa to that memorable success in Dunedin, where Ricky January scored a chip and chase try to win the game in spectacular fashion for South Africa. One of the best coaches South Africa's ever seen. But tonight, we're going to unwrap things and get to know the person behind the coach. Good evening, Coach Peter. Thanks for joining me this evening on the show. It's always a pleasure chatting to you all things rugby.
Yeah, thank you, Takir, and thank you for having me, and for everybody who's watching it. Thanks for tuning in and allowing me into your sitting room.
Well, Coach, it's only a pleasure having you in our sitting room. And what makes it more special is tonight we're going to unpack everything and get to know the person behind the coach. Coach Peter.
We hope so. We hope so. We hope so.
No, I mean, definitely. We've all seen the coach. We know what he's capable of doing, what he's capable of saying. And let's get to know the person about it. Coach, your youth growing up, have you always been exposed to rugby, and was rugby always a path you would want to follow?
Yeah, definitely, Takir. I grew up in a house where my older brother, he had much more talent than I had. Everything he touched turned into gold, and I just wanted to be like him. I wanted to be better like him, better than him. And then early in my life, I understood that for me to get where he is or close to where he is to work hard. And I just went to bite the bullet, put in the hard yards, the hours burning the candle, the midnight candle, and wow, it worked for me.
Well, it certainly did. And I mean, as a player and as a coach, and many people would say that they weren't exposed to the rugby that you played at the time. That's why many people would question your credentials. But I mean, coming out of Western Province, coming from Tigerberg, a history that is rich in quality rugby players that just didn't get exposure to the rest of the world. What was it like playing in that era where there were so many great players in the Tigerberg Union and in that Western Province region?
Yeah, first thing is that there's a lot of guys that should have been Springboks if there was no indifferences in this country. If we were only human beings from the day that we born, a lot of our guys would have played there. They are deliberately in a different class. The Kane and Moody's and these guys you see now, there was a hell of a lot of them. Guys who created gaps and created opportunities that weren't there. They were just brilliant. For me, growing up here in Paul, um, I thought if I can do the basics of my position very well, then I think I do stand a chance to get to the top. So at the Berg River, I went into that. There was a hell of a lot of stones there. I actually passed stones out of the river onto the bank, and with that, I made a nice swimming pool for people. But I actually made my pass quicker and very far and fast. So I had that, and then I had to concentrate on breaking and concentrate on reading the game and concentrate on kicking. So things came actually natural for me the way I actually created my own luck by working very, very hard. So the things that I could control, I did control that. Um, and that was very easy for me then. The one thing that nobody can coach, that is heart. I think I was blessed with it. I do have a very big heart. And I lost my fear at Sunday school.
Well, you said that you got your pass right. You had to get your technical game. Back in the day, which position specifically did you play?
I played scrum half, and I played some fly half too, but scrum half was my main position. That is where I actually excelled in. Played for Griquas, played for Boland. Yeah, no, it was brilliant. Eh? And I also
Well,
played Saru, the Springbok trials for us. Saru then in the non-racial side. I played trials, didn't make it, but then again, for me, just to be there was a great honor because I knew I didn't have that natural talent that most people had. For me, work brought me there, and that was a just reward on working hard. And I think that is what actually groomed me to what I became, because I learned how to work hard, I learned how to bite the bullet, and I learned how to take criticism in the one ear, drop it through the other ear, and then never lose focus on my goal.
and I think that words of wisdom probably came back to help you so much at the later stage in your career when we move on to the coaching part. But we're going to put that on park for a bit later. And I mean, Coach, we'll just chat a bit more about your rise to coaching. When you were done playing, did you know that you're going to become a coach, or were you going to follow the traditional route that many people of color, for that matter, followed once they were done playing sport, or they even followed their playing sport, going to be a teacher, or put in the hard yards in some other form of work?
It worked for me just the other way around. I first became a teacher, and then I was a teacher for 20 years, and that taught me how to work with people, how to understand their needs, how to listen to what they don't say while they're talking to you. So yeah, I think I was there also groomed a bit for the job. But throughout my playing days, I just even before that, I just showed an interest and I had the insight of the game. I could see things happening 3, 4 phases ahead, and that made me sometimes a bad player because everybody around me didn't read it the way I read it. So we just had to bring them on board too. So the one thing that's very important for me then is the fact that I had that great interest in the technical part of the game, and then I then understood that we're all different people, and everybody you played with, they see life differently, they see the game differently, they see moments differently, and they experience everything differently. So for me, it was a learn school to understand how people act, and when they act, it's only 5% of their life. But to me, how they react, which is 95% of our life, was the one that I wanted to control, to get the reaction to be synergized into what the whole is all about. And the whole is the team, people around them. How can we tune into each other's spirit, into the same brainwave, and get them connected at the one thing that we can connect each other.
And what are some of the key things that actually helps you get these things to happen and make it tick? Because many people look at coaches like the abnormal people. I mean, yourself, Jurgen Klopp, the great Sir Alex Ferguson. These are all, you guys are all cut from a similar cloth. To the public, you guys seem crazy, but you knew exactly how to make people tick and get the best out of them.
Well, I was different. I like to swim upstream. Um, and then in apartheid, I must tell you, apartheid groomed me a hell of a lot. Um, you know that you're good enough for something, but you're not white enough to be that something. Um, so there must be another way to get to that something that you know you want. And those are the ways that you as a person then understand. If you think like that, everybody else should think like that. It doesn't happen like it, but as long as you think like it, there's one already, so you can convince the others to be like that. So so the first thing you do understand when you get into teaching or you get into coaching is that everybody do have an opinion and we all love it, but we must understand that my opinion is not the only opinion, and then to accept who you are, accept your shortcomings, and accept that people is going to see you differently and people is going to challenge you. And then you already, before you get there, you work out. If the challenge is left, you have to go right. If the challenge is right, you have to go left. You don't walk into a storm and expect not to be hurt, So you just deviate a bit from the storm, give the storm a bit a chance to lose their weight. And when the storm reaches you, it's not that strong anymore. So yeah, I learned those things. And then when I was a teacher at two different schools where you had to be a teacher and a doctor and a father and a mother to the children, that taught me a lot, how to understand people, how to be there for them. So to me, the children were first children and then they became students. And then when I started coaching, the players were first people before they were players. And I can say today with a lot of pride, I never coached any rugby team, a rugby player yet in my life. I always try to coach the person, because when you're trying to coach a person, the rugby player in that person will become so great, and he will be much better than what he knows, what you knows, and where he will understand. If he believes in me, I surely should also believe in myself.
And I mean, in saying that, let's get back to the rugby. And you then, in the early 2000s, or let's say the late 90s, was appointed as assistant coach for Western Province at the time, a team full of superstars. Um, what was this first step in professional coaching like for you?
Yeah, I became the Springbok assistant coach first in 1997 with Nick Mallet to
Mm,
the UK. I was the assistant coach there, and yeah, learned a hell of a lot on not how to coach. I learned more about how I want to do it my way, because I understood myself. Came back to Western Province, walked into a system where they didn't wanted you actually,
mm,
but they couldn't ignore you. Then they wanted to talk me out of coaching in Western Province. They actually wanted me to become a selector for Western Province. Then I realized the great Kasim Yaba was one of the selectors, and for me to enter into that thing is that I had to stand against him. And now my hero, then there's no way I would stand against Kasim Yaba. So I withdraw, and I just told him, listen to me, if there's no team for me to coach, I can't coach, but I'm a coach, I'm not a selector. So yeah, it wasn't easy sailing. You had to fight your way. You had really to fight your way through. And then what people might see as my biggest obstacle is because I see things so far ahead. I think in my own life I'm mostly a few years ahead of a lot of people. They don't understand you, and then after a while they will come back to you and say, "Wow, I didn't see it that way then." But that was my obstacle. So people who didn't see it, who went with the norm, saw you as an enemy and not as a progressive thinker.
mm. And then, seeing you as the enemy, not the progressive thinker, you then went on and coached the South African junior teams to success. In that, what were some of the memorable stories that came out of there in terms of the personnel and the players that you worked with?
Yeah, we will be busy the whole night if I tell you all those stories. But the one thing that I'm very proud of, um, being the coach of the under 19s and the under 21, the players that I identified to play for South Africa at the junior level, almost 80% of them became Springboks. So then I realized that I do have an eye um, to spot potential. What other coaches is doing, they look at talent, and talent do have a sell by date, but potential you can develop, and potential you can fulfill, and potential you can always take to the next level. So I look for guys with potential who I really knew that whenever we bring something to them, they will work hard at it. The guy with the potential, because he's at this stage ahead of his peers. Um, when everybody grow him in, then there's a shortage of concentration, a shortage of confidence, and a shortage of giving it, sharing with the rest of the guys around him. So that talented guy might just become your biggest enemy on the day when they're in a team, and then it's hard to win your opponents because the enemies is in your team while you're trying to win the opponents. And I got that part right too.
And I mean, you said that you got that out. If you talk of the one person and a player that you coached, very good friend, former colleague of mine, um, Kobani Bobo, would always talk about the impact that you had on his life and how he took a left turn and you took the left turn as well and literally fetched him out of the wilderness and turned him into a junior Springbok captain. And then later on, he went on to become a Springbok, one of the great Springbok centers that could have had many more caps. Um, Keen to share a bit more about that story.
Well, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but Kubani Bobo is a born leader. Um, he had insight in life. He understood his teammates. He know how to work with people. Um, but growing up, I think there was a little gap in his life where he struggled a bit to love himself, the way he is, and he followed some routes that most of us do follow. And I just took the cane in my hand, and if you can't take responsibility for your own life, I will take responsibility for you, and up to a point, and then I will step back, and then I will give it back to you. And luckily for me, he realized how to claw out of that big hole that he actually digged for himself. He clawed out of it himself. And today, when I hear him talk on TV and when I see him, then I'm so proud on the fact that we actually spend more time to character building than on blaming the person and leaving him on his own. The one thing that we all need in life is just a push. Sometimes you will push a guy over a cliff, and that's exactly what I try to do with him. I want to push him over the cliff so that he can try and fly, and he did fly. I can tell you that.
Most definitely. The same way one could say that that you flew. And I mean, now moving on to the next stage of your career, becoming the Springbok coach. What was that like for you? What did it mean for your family, for the community of Paul? And did you feel like this is now the step that you're now opening the door, paving the way for many people of color who want a future in rugby?
Well, I might say I was at the right place, the right time. I did the right stuff, and went overseas and qualified myself. So I had a vision which I had followed, and that vision started at 13 years old. When I came home back one day and I told my mother, my teacher said I'm going to become a Springbok, and my mother said to me, "You will never become a Springbok, because to become a Springbok is only for the whites then." And then I don't know why, but I told her if I can't play for them, I will coach them one day. And yeah, 37 years after that, it came true. But through all the struggles and through all the hardship that we all went through, I can say with conviction today, I knew people who had more rugby knowledge in my community than what I have. People who would have made it also big, and but they didn't have that kind of vision to see where they can be and to get there and to wait for everybody else to get there with me. So I am blessed with those kind of 10 years, like I said, that I'm ahead of myself. Sometimes I don't even understand why I do things myself, and then it just comes clear to me and say, wow, so that was the reason why I did it. um, I learned to be true to my gut. I learned to trust it.
Mm,
I learned to stand alone, and that is the reason why I can stand in a group. I don't need people to tell me how good I am. I do know. And I don't need people to tell me how bad I am. I do know that too. But to put that
mm,
mixture all together and you sit back and say to yourself, wow, if I want to be a leader, then I first need to follow myself. And I was very happy to follow myself. I didn't have a script. I didn't have a way of trying to please people. And it helped me a hell of a lot because I knew if you think people is going to say bad things about you, you need to change yourself. You can't change what they're going to say.
Mm.
So I adopt the style of, even when you talk bad about me, I'm so happy that you're talking about me.
Well, I'm glad we got to that because I mean everybody wants to talk about you. What went through your head in the press conference, sitting next to Oregon Hoskins, and he dropped the bomb, saying that credentials was not the sole motivator for your appointment?
Yeah, you can't ask me those kind of questions, on a family show. Um, uh, there's no vocabulary to describe the feeling. It's like when
Mm.
somebody dies, a lot of people come and tell you, we feel it for you. You don't feel it with anybody. You don't know what the person goes through. But but you know what's so sad about it? If I come to your church tomorrow as a Christian and I see you there, the first thing I will ignore everybody else. I will walk up to you and nobody else is there because I only know you. If you turn on me and say, "What the hell is this guy doing here?" I mean, it's gonna be tough for me to now convince other people that I'm here.
Mm.
But if you tell them, guys, we got a guy here. Let's welcome him in. Suddenly, you pave the way for me to start feeling that fear that I do have of failing myself. You start of actually just a little bit push it to the side, then you make me think, wow, there's somebody that will support me through this whole thing. What Regan Hoskins did there is is he made me realize that I can't trust anybody, even though those 11 guys who voted for me. If he was against me and he says that as the leader, he doesn't have the presence of mind to say that this is our coach now and I'm here to support him. What will the other guys say tomorrow if they are in a tight spot? So I just knew that I couldn't look to anybody on the board for support. Um, Around the country, all the white people wanted me to fail and the players to be successful. All the black people wanted me to be successful and the white players to fail. So at the end, everybody wanted you to fail. And and then I knew I had to do this my way. So when I get to the stage where they try and get rid of me, or then I can stand up and say, I'm the cause. I did it my way, and that made me put up my shutters
Mm.
and close my windows and shut everybody out. I didn't listen to anybody. I never had role models. I never had something who could carry me through that 4 years. I was there alone. Every fight that I had to fight, I had to fight alone. Um, Most of the colored people who I thought would support me, they had a little bit of jealousy in them. And I
Mm.
realized that they weren't jealous on me. They was only jealous on their own inabilities and they wanted to be like me.
Mm.
So at the end, I sat down and I said to myself, you can't trust white people. And I went on with the story, you can't trust black people and you can't trust colored people. So what I got rid of all the colors. And I said to myself, you can't trust people. So the
Mm.
only person that you need to be honest and true and faithful to is the one in the mirror. So I said to myself, I'm gonna go look after myself now. I'm gonna look after myself. So I went to buy myself a big mirror and I looked after myself.
Talking of looking after yourself, um, you took a while. Many people don't know the story to sign your Saru contract as the coach. You then forced Saru to change the constitution. Tell us a bit about the story.
Yeah, when I realized what Regan said, um, it got home to me that I am representing a lot of people who don't understand that they are people. For me to go into what they want to force me in is to let the people down. So I
Mm.
think they thought it was about the money. To me, it was not about the money. For me, it was about about the value of the company. If that is the value of the company and you bring in a coach, he's coming in at that value. And at that stage, we were the world champions. So don't underpay me because I'm black. You know,
Mm.
you give me what the value of the company is, so that I can take responsibility for everything that's around me and in my contract. And I told them I can't take responsibility for this, that, and the others if you don't see me as competent to take responsibility for it.
Mm.
Um, uh, a performance clause, for instance, they took it out of my contract. Um, and I say, I'm not going to sign this thing if there's not a performance clause in. I need a performance clause because I want to know where I had to perform. And at the end, after 6 or 7, they really tried to get me out. Um, after all those times, I could face them that my performance clause, 85, 89, 95%. I never got less than 85% for the 4 years in my performance clause. So I could fight them on that thing, and that helped me at the end. I didn't know it would help me at the end,
Mm.
but I wanted to be treated as the next Springbok coach. I wanted to be for my people of my color. I wanted to be for them a hero, a role model, somebody that they could follow, even if they criticize me, even if they don't like me. But the value system that you put in place, that you are there for them and you are doing things as one of them, and you have to do it right because there's not a second chance. So, yeah, all those
Mm.
kind of things, the pressure was very tough on me. But, luckily, I got through it.
So there was another clause in the contract where you actually forced them to change it, and what has actually changed, where you had the final say on the team that was selected. How was it done before? I thought coaches select the team and coaches say which team goes to take the field on match day.
Yeah, I don't think that changed a lot. I don't think that changed a lot. Um, what changed in my tenure is that you sit down, you do have selectors. Now the
Mm.
selectors sit with you and they go do the scouting out there for you. So they would find a player in wherever and they will tell you to give the player a chance. So you will bring the player into your squad, make them train with you to see how if you fit into those kind of things. That is their job. The coach will then select out of that squad. He will select his team, because he's part of that selection group. So he could bring anybody in. So you do have the last say. But at the end, the team must go then to the president, and he will sign it off. You know. But
Mm.
Regan didn't want to take responsibility for my failure. He didn't want to sign the team off. He just walked away from it and said, "I won't sign this team off. It's not necessary that coach will take responsibility for his own team." What he then meant with that is, if I do not show any success, um, the board can't ask him, but you did sign the team off. Why is your signature there? That is what
Mm.
what went with it, and I could see it. And then I knew, that's fine, that's fine. The less I have to report to anybody on this earth, the better it is for me. And yeah, and you could see in my 4 years, I actually made 28 new Springboks of color,
Mm.
bringing the Juan de Jongs and Gio Aploons, all those kind of guys that I knew they had the ability to grow. Again, with that one thing that you can't coach the heart. They had the heart, they had speed, they had everything that you can't coach.
Mm.
So I knew that they were. I just wanted them to overcome that part here from your neck to your head, at the top of your head, to make it big in this game. And I gave them 20 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 15 minutes there, just to groom them, get the confidence growing. And when I thought they were right to go, people dropped them after I was gone, and those would have been the guys who could have made the next coach look much better if he just stuck with those talent. Um, but he chose for various reasons not to go with
Mm.
them. And I can say here with conviction that most people do suffer in this country because they're part of me. As when they're part of me, people want to kill them because you don't want you to be part of that man.
Mm.
So again, then I said to myself, if nobody want to use me, if nobody want to use my talent, if nobody want to use my IP, it doesn't make me stupid. I do have it. So if I die
Mm.
with it, it will be those guys who made the decision,
They lost.
not to share it with the rest of the world. I went to
Mm.
Saru and I said to Yuri Ru then, I've got all this knowledge now that you guys have paid for. For the next 6 months, give me a chance to go around the country to every union and to go work with the elite coaches there so that I can bring to them and tell them what to expect in coaching and what coaching is really all about, and not about that nonsense that they are doing in level 1, level 2, level 3,
Mm.
giving them technical knowledge. And there's nothing. Technical knowledge is only what you have to have in your CV. How to work with people, how to understand people, how that you understand that the brain has got 8 rooms, 8 different kinds of people who's going to challenge themselves and you and their teammates. That's what coaching is all about. Um, yeah, I think they saw the danger if I do that, that there will be too many coaches of color. Because like the way you see now how the players of color is growing and come naturally through. That would have been then with coaches too. And wow, what Dr. Valibason then said, in 10 years' time, there won't be any white guys who can play this game because the black guys will grow far beyond what we expect of them. And yeah, then they went to sit down. They went to bring in varsity cup. They went to bring in this elite school competition. They brought all those kind of things in to push our people back and out of the system. And I must say to you, like apartheid, they were successful.
Mm. Could be, could not be. But we have to
No,
wait
they
and
are.
see.
No. You can already see it. You can already
Mm.
see it because where I grew up, where all the schools played rugby. All the schools were part of a system. Or if you go to Cape Town, you go to Tigerberg, the schools, all the schools. Now you go there, you can use the school the rugby field as a parking lot because there's nothing there for the guys anymore. So they were successful to distance us from what we naturally are doing. Um, we are outdoor
Mm.
people without climbing mountains, you know, without jumping out of airplanes. We outdoor people because we know with nothing we have to make something and we can do it naturally. And I think that was the fear of them then.
And I mean, if you look at it back then, so many contributing factors. I mean, you had two unions within what, if you could even say four unions within one city. Um, Group Areas Act came in, broke it up, and that could have been the demise of colored rugby, if you look at
Yeah,
it to a certain extent. But Coach Peter, I mean, so many years at the helm, your victorious, or most memorable moment, I would say, for me and many other South Africans, the win in Dunedin. Run us through that win from
yeah,
the start
the
to the
win,
finish.
the win in Dunedin has a hell of a lot of angles to look at it. Firstly, we went to show South African um, Super Rugby teams that you can win in New Zealand. That is firstly. Secondly, um, if you look at how much heart that team showed, and the kind of doors that we opened there, um, it's a self belief that you can't estimate today, in rugby. But the one thing for me as a person is that nobody ever won there. So I went there as an underdog with that team. And today, because that stadium has been demolished and a new stadium has been built and nobody's playing in that stadium, today I'm the only dog as a coach. So what does it mean? It means to you, you don't know where you're gonna be tomorrow. But if you prepare yourself and you're ready to take the moment that is destined for you, that moment can forever you. And that moment might be 10 minutes, 3
Mm.
seconds like mine. It can be 20 years. But if you're not there to take that moment, you will miss it and you will lose it. And if you lose it, I'm telling you now, second chances don't come easy in life.
And I mean, just looking at that Ricky January took that moment, and him out of many other players would always chat about their love for you. But with that, when you came into the Springbok camp, a winning World Cup winning team for that matter, you came in there. How was it for you with players not wanting to work with you because of who you are?
Yeah, there was a bad story. I think Jake White has spread that story. He wanted everybody to believe that the players don't want to play for a black coach. So he wanted another tenor. Um, and then guys like Percy and Victor Matfield and John Smith, they all went overseas to further their career because what the white Afrikaans, the white media were writing is that I'm gonna change the whole team. They asked me um, if there's enough black players. I say yes, I can give you 80 black players now who can play for the Springboks.
Mm,
But that was the question that I answered. They never asked me, is there any white players? I would tell them, yes, there's more than 80 white players too. But they took the part of the black players and said he's gonna turn rugby black. And some of the most influential people in rugby then went they went far and wide across the country to campaign against me, to get me out, not to get my name in a hat. They even turned the late Chester Williams against me, and it was a struggle all over.
mm,
um but what we actually got right is that I knew the game, and I created a new culture for the team. Going abroad, all our different languages and color and whatever. So our only culture in the team were everybody. I told them we're gonna be honest with each other, and some of them came up and said, "Yeah." One influential player said to me, "That's the only thing I want to hear, coach. I just want you to be honest
mm,
with us." I say, "I don't think you do understand honesty. Because honesty means if you go off form, I must drop you.
mm,
Uh, if you are late, you're not honest. If you don't make a tackle, you're not honest. If you whatever you do wrong in this team environment, you're not honest. So honesty then took over black and white and whatever. So if you're a white guy, you're not honest. You're not part of the culture of the team. You're a black guy, you're not honest. You're not part of the culture of the team. So I took the culture abroad, every line that any ethnic line people could draw. And that is why people felt part of the team, because they only knew one thing, and this is I
mm,
have to do what this team expects of me to do, to make, and this is very, very important, to make the guys in a wheelchair, to make the guys that can't pay their bills, to make those guys for 40 minutes, 80 minutes, for one night, forget
mm,
about the fact that they don't have that they want, but they are part of something that they actually cherish. And yeah, I said to them, guys, we're gonna make this team the team of the people. I took our practices to provincial fields, where municipal fields, so that those who can't afford to come watch the tests, they can come watch the practices.
mm,
So the practices became a test for those who never were able to meet up with the players in a test arena. It got the players, like in Tigerberg, for instance, where we were practicing one day with almost 10,000 people there watching the practice. They couldn't make mistakes on the practice field, because then the people will know, they also human. They're not superheroes. So those are the kind of things that I put
mm.
together to get us to the next level. And yeah, I think it worked. I don't know. You will know, but I think it worked.
I can give you the answer to that, but I'll reserve my comments.
Yeah.
We both know it definitely worked. But coach, looking at your career and what was one of the most? Let's take this before we wrap it up. What was one of your most memorable moments wearing that green and gold blazer, or more importantly, as a rugby coach, what was your most memorable moment across your career?
You don't want to know, brother. You don't want to know that reach for the stars. You will get very close, but you will never become a star.
Mm.
So we won the Lions tour and we won the Tri Nations. And when we came back into the country with all those trophies, who's at the airport waiting for me? The president of the country. And wow, was that brilliant? Was that great for me? So now we're standing on the airport and we're speaking to the nation. Me and the president. Yes, that was great. Eh? They took me not through the normal gates at our Tambo. They took me through the back entrances just to go straight to my seat in a plane. Wow, it was really brilliant. And
Mm.
as I walked up the escalator, there was a Japanese guy and his wife standing on top on the landing there. And as I came closer, he asked me, "Photo?" And I thought, wow, even you know me. Brilliant, man. I say, yes. And you know what happened? He gave me the camera. So I had to take the photo. And there I realized, if
Mm.
you don't remain humble, life will bring you down on your knees very, very quickly. And behind the camera is not the greatest place to be. So try just to change the lives of other people. You change the lives of other people, and they will leave a legacy for you because nobody has the power to leave a legacy. Nobody. But
Mm.
if people talk about you, if people I'll say, wow, that's not a bad guy. They will leave a legacy for you. And I hope that I've changed enough people's lives in this lifetime of mine so that they will let my legacy live so that other people can strive to become better. The one thing I don't like museums because museums is all about history, and history was never been invented to study. History was always there to be made, and I always wanted to make history with whoever I am and with whoever I work with and whatever I can do. So maybe I will also go down in history as just another person, or I will go down as another person who changed other people's lives.
I think for me it would be the latter. You managed to change so many lives in sport, give hope to people who never had hope to make it. I mean,
And we
like
hope so.
myself.
We hope
Like
so.
myself. No, definitely. So many people. And if, like I said, if we mention that book and open up that book of names, we could talk forever. Wait and see how the rest of the season unfolds. But Coachy, thanks so much for your time this evening. I look forward to chatting to you about all things rugby real soon and sharing those more real life stories and getting to know you a bit better and the fans, the public out there, getting to see the other side of you. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and I really, really appreciate it. And I hope to do it soon.
Yeah, I think you all saw that videos, how small I were against guys like Buckies and Victor and all those kind of things. And it just showed to you how just God is at times, you know. He never needed my body. He just needed my brain so that I can motivate them to put their bodies on the line. And maybe we got that right too. I mean, if you tick some boxes, it's fine. Can I just end off by saying to you, the record that you spoke about in the beginning doesn't
Mm.
impress me a hell of a lot.
Why not?
Because you can't judge coaches on a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
If you go look at my record and you look at some other coaches' record and you look at the teams that they won, that brought them to that winning margin, and you look at
Mm.
what kind of teams I won that brought me. I mean, we never lost against Wales. We never lost against England. Um, we won the All Blacks more than ever. We won Australia. The big guns in rugby then. Some other teams won Samoa, the second team of Scotland,
Mm.
Italy. They've got a hell of a winning record against those teams. But now the percentage says that they're in your class, but they
Mm.
never won against the real guys. So how good is their inspiration to get the normal player to play
Mm.
above his strength and above his abilities to make their country proud. So they didn't
Mm.
have that kind of challenge for the records that they do have. That's why I don't regard a winning losing record as something that they can go against. If they if they break it up
Mm.
against certain teams, then you can understand if it's really good or not.
No, definitely, definitely. And the impact that you made on players' lives in that time period is what you can definitely be judged on, because we've sat around the table, we've sat around rooms where former superstars would tell us both of how you changed their life and the impact that you made on their life. And I think that's the most important thing to walk away with at the end of any job, is the impact that you made in people's lives.
Yeah. What you become in life is not for you. When you become anything in life, is always for other people. A doctor will nurse, diagnose people. Attorney will defend people. A coach has to make dreams come true for people. And I hope I just did that.
No, you definitely did, Coachy. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time this evening, and we look forward to doing it with you real soon, and getting to know a whole lot more and a different side of you. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you so much, and to the listeners and the viewers. Wow, what an honor for me to be with you. Well, just cut out the parts that you don't like, and please like this video.
Thank you so much, Coachy. That was the former Springbok coach, Peter De Villiers, giving us a bit of insight into his career as a coach and also his time at the Springboks and his way and his journey to get to that level. But thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. When we do come back, we're going to be chatting all things of football with a football analyst, Lorenz Koller, who's going to be giving us a bit of a breakdown on what we can expect this weekend in the DSTV Premiership.